series is Tuesday, February 25th, 2020, the SABE GoVoter project. Next slide, please. We would like for you to meet our team, and then we'll meet your teams. The SABE GoVoter project team represents myself, Teresa, and I am the project director. Essie, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, this is Essie Peterson, and I'm in Cincinnati, Ohio, and I am the partnership liaison. Good to be here.
And Diana?
I am Diana Milos, and I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I am SABE board member.
And Bill?
Hello, my name is Bill Lucero. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and I am the vote staff.
Juliana?
Hello, this is Juliana Guareña. I'm in Arizona. I'm the SABE administration for the GoVoter project.
Thank you to all the team members for being on today. And next slide, please.
Well, good morning, everyone. So we will be recording this webinar today so we can listen to it later. We'll be taking breaks when needed, so please let us know if you guys need a break in between the webinar. If you have any questions, please say your name and then you can ask your question. We will be asking poll questions during this webinar as well. We will ask survey questions at the end of the webinar. And if we'll also have our parking lot. So if there's comments or questions, we can get those written down as well. So please use that chat box.
Thank you, Bill. Next slide, please. So if you haven't caught on before, our teams for this webinar will be from Illinois, from Michigan, and from North Carolina. And we'll also be having special guests in the next couple of webinars. So what we would like you to do is tell us your name and the group that you're representing.
So let's start with Illinois.
Hi, this is Tara Ahern, and I'm the project director for the Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance. So we're a statewide organization, people with intellectual and developmental disabilities all over Illinois. And I'm also joined by Derek Morris, who is our self-advocate leader. Derek, were you able to get yourself off mute? I know he's here. He was having some trouble with the PIN number, but Derek is here. And then we're also joined by Barry. Barry, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name is Barry Taylor, and I'm with Equip for Equality, which is the protection and advocacy agency for the state of Illinois.
All right, let's hear from Michigan. Noah, you want to let us know where you're from?
Is he having trouble with his volume too?
Who's on? Let's get back to Michigan. Let's go ahead and have North Carolina tell us who's on.
All right. The retired junior, SABE Go-Vote project.
Oh, sure. Yeah. My name is Hunter Strickland. I'm a social work intern with Disability Rights North Carolina.
Laura Newell, founder of South Africa Connect Group in Charlotte, North Carolina.
I'm Tally Wells. I'm the new executive director of the North Carolina Council on Developmental Disabilities, and here I met you at the Olmsted Conference in August when I was in Atlanta.
Hey, Tally.
Brian Dooley, he's with the North Carolina Empowerment Network. And that's a new self-advocacy group here in North Carolina.
Anna Cunningham with the North Carolina Council on Developmental Disabilities, as well as a parent advocate from Raleigh, Wake County area.
Well, welcome everyone. Next slide, please, Juliana.
Noah, are you able to speak from Michigan?
See if we can get that figured out.
Okay.
So when we first started the GoVoter project, it was quite a long time ago in the late 1990s, and we had a grant that asked the question, why do people with intellectual, cognitive, or developmental disabilities not vote? And Tia Nellis, myself, and Nancy Ward from Oklahoma as self-advocates. And they told us that people told them that they were not smart enough to vote is why they didn't vote. And that the other comment that they made was that they did not learn about voting in school, so they didn't feel prepared and didn't understand the voting process. And so that's why we started the project, is we wanted that question answered. Why do people with intellectual, cognitive, and developmental disabilities not vote? So next slide, please. So we asked, what can we do? And they said, well, we want people with developmental disabilities to be the ones to help teach us the process, to explain it to us in a way that we could understand. And then so Tia, myself, and Nancy helped to write the vote training, and it took a lot to do that. But we finally took our training toolkit on the road, and we traveled state after state, and the trainings were done. And it was a lot of fun. We would invite multiple states to come and join us in a state and do the training in person. Next slide, please. And this was a train the trainer model, which meant you would train teams and they would go back and train others, and they would take the training around their state. And it took us 2 days or more to do this training. And the way that it worked was we, the trainers, trained the group on the first day how to use the toolkit, what was in the toolkit, how to do the activities and have the discussions so that self-advocates had a chance to see how it would be done. And then on day 2, the participants that we trained would train the topics back to the large group, and they would ask questions and get their questions answered from us and others that were supporting us on how to answer questions and different things like that. And then the GoVoter staff would meet with each state and provide technical assistance, answer questions if they were receiving questions in their training that they weren't sure how to answer or where to find the information. We would help them look those answers up and teach them how to teach it back to the group and make it so that individuals could relate it to personal life experiences and help their group to understand. And then we would also add activities that would help others to understand the information also. So that's how we would do it. And then we would have evaluations after each of their trainings, and they would tell us what they thought, what activities they liked, and how they would like to see improvements made on the training. So it was a national effort to make sure that the training toolkit continue to develop and change over time. Go ahead to the next slide, please. So the real purpose of the training was to increase the number of voters with cognitive, developmental, and intellectual disabilities. The participants will learn how to use the toolkit, and then later on, we realized that we needed some technical support ourselves to work with the P&As to keep up with the changing laws and rules in states that self-advocates needed to work together with P&As to keep that information up to date. And then when HAVA was developed, we made sure that this was my favorite of all of the HAVA statements, was that all individuals with disabilities will have the right to vote privately and independently. And that's what we hoped that having the accessible machines would do, would give the individuals the support that they needed to have that private and independent vote that some of them had been looking for. And so that was a really exciting time. And then we always say that you are the power of the disability vote. The individuals themselves were the power. And so next slide, please. And we learned that one of the things is that we also needed other partners to help us work together. We started working more closely with the Board of Elections or the election officials in different states and counties to build that stronger partnership and to work with the P&As and the self-advocacy group to make sure that there was that team that we were building in each state, and that they meet together whenever possible when they're learning to train together, but also that trainings were done together. And so they would work through all of those different details. And we placed information inside of the toolkit over time that helped them develop that partnership. And we actually have a partnership building topic in our toolkit now that helps these partnerships grow and to help each other learn what each one does and how they could support each other. And the state teams became stronger and stronger as we put all of these different questions we were getting asked and learning about that states needed to prepare them for the trainings, that they would have homework and practice the training sessions. Next slide, please. So one of the things is that some of the teams may or may not work closely together now, and it helps all of us to know a little bit more about each group that's in the team. and to work with the self-advocates and the protection and advocacy organizations to know each other a little bit better and what their goals are, and especially if they had worked together in the past and whether they had done vote trainings in the past, uh, as an individual group or with other partners, and especially if they had an existing relationship with the P&A, because we could help with that if that was not in existence before, so that they would be able to work together and have a stronger partnership. So one of the things that we would like you to do today is, and some of this is spontaneous, because one of the things that we found out is sometimes the group did not know what their mission was, and sometimes they did, and sometimes they knew parts of it. And when you're presenting, it helps to know these different things and have brochures about your group's mission to share with others, so that the self-advocacy groups could grow and strengthen the relationship with the P&A in the community. So, Illinois, we would like for you to answer the following questions. Would you again introduce yourselves? Because sometimes it was a little bit hard to make out all the names on your team. And so we'd like for you to tell us again who you are and what group you're with and what's your group's mission. Tell us about some of your group's goals, whether it's voting or not, and if you have done vote training in the past, whether it's ours or a different vote training, and if you have worked with your P&A before, either on voting or other issues.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I apologize. I have a bit of a cold, so I hope everyone can understand me. My name is Tara Ahern, and I'm the project director for the Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance. So we are funded by the Illinois Council on Developmental Disabilities, and we are the advocacy project for the state of Illinois. So our mission is to work together to make life better in our communities and work to make services better for people with disabilities in our state. And our focus, all of our goals relate back to empowering people with IDD, intellectual and developmental disabilities, to speak up and speak out about the things that are important in their lives and help them establish goals and action plan those goals. So some of the focuses for this year that our board of directors, which is all people with IDD, they have decided that they want us as staff to focus on healthy sexuality, health in general, and voting. And so this is perfectly timed. The Alliance did participate in the initial SABE training, the voting training with Tia Nellis, who did that years ago. And we have collaborated with our P&A in the past. Equip for Equality has done 2 webinars for the Alliance, and also a staff person from Equip for Equality came to present to our board in 2018 about just board development and how to, what their roles are and responsibilities and that kind of stuff. So that is Barry, am I missing anything?
I don't think so. This is Barry Taylor from the Illinois Protection Advocacy Agency, Equip for Equality. When Tara and I were talking, one thing we haven't collaborated on is voting. And as she indicated, that's a goal for the Alliance, but that's not a training that they've done. And we have done training on that issue. And I'm happy to go into that background if that's helpful, or we don't have to go into those details now. But we're hoping to be able to use some of the work we've done under HAVA and other funding sources over the years and find ways to collaborate with the Alliance in Illinois. We're really excited about the opportunity.
And do you have any other goals that you're working on as a group besides voting?
Well, I think actually, yes. So Equip for Equality has partnered with the Alliance and many other organizations in our state to work on sexual violence support for people with IDD who have been victims of sexual violence. Our team is called Illinois Imagines Chicago, which stemmed from a larger state team that the funding has ended, but our local team has continued, and Equip for Equality has been a pretty consistent partner on that project. So that's definitely something that we've looked to them to help us, just first and foremost for referrals, but also just any insight that they have that they can help us with.
Because most things
And then
end
we
up
also,
going back to voting, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
and this is Barry. I was just going to mention we're also both members of our University Centers for Excellence has an advisory council, and both the Alliance and Equip for Quality are members of that. So we're part of that. And one of Tara's board members is at that University Center for Excellence. So that's kind of a nice collaboration between the UCED, the P&A, and the Alliance.
Right. Right. And I was in talking with Barry and both of our teams, we've decided that we really want to do some more extended webinar training or maybe some in-person trainings. We were thinking about maybe adjusting some currently existing documents to help, like handouts that we can use, and then maybe looking at some videos because I know Equip for Equality has some, so we wanted to just check and see if we could reuse them or maybe create some new ones.
And then one thing that was really helpful when we talked before this call is we had not been maybe as good as we could have been about letting the Alliance and others know about a statewide voting helpline that we have on election day, both on the primary and on actual the general election. And so we're going to work collaboratively on getting the word out about that helpline so that people can call in when they have any kind of barriers on election day, or if they just have questions about where their polling place is or whatever there might be that comes up that day. So that'll be another thing that we're working on together.
Thank you. That's really helpful to listen to that very successful relationship and how the different projects and how you can support each other. I think that's a really great example of a past history that works really well and continues to work and has goals for the future and how you can help each other, and to make sure that the information that you're developing has feedback right from the beginning, especially when you're updating things and getting feedback from self-advocates and having their input on how to make it more accessible. Because we have, through years and years of experience, found out that when you adapt it, a lot of people benefit from that modified version that's been looked at and adapted by self-advocates. It's real helpful. Let's go on to the next group, please.
Right. Teresa, before you move on, I have Derek who has to chat because he doesn't have the microphone available to him. So he just wanted to let you know that his name is Derek and that he's a self-advocate leader and he's working with Tara.
Great, and we'll try to figure out what happened for you, Derek, and make sure that we next time get to hear your voice. And thank you for being on the webinar. Look forward to working with you. Next slide, please. And I know that Michigan is having some difficulty as well. What we will do is check the volume right now and check the ability. And then if it is not there, then we can build in time on the next week to make sure we get to learn from you and hear from you. Go ahead.
No, are you available to speak? Okay.
Okay, sorry about that, Noah. We will make time for you to present to us next time. And North Carolina.
Okay, I'll tell you. Um, group mentoring, voting, and ADA. Group goal is voting in every country, county, ADA, and local transportation. Transition plan. Advisory transfer staff. Voting, training, carry, voting, transfer, training, a year ago. Now you can turn it to me forward. Turn it over to Noah. Noah. You,
Well, some things that we've done, another year, and we did get some people registered.
Sorry, it's a little bit hard to hear you. Can you move a little bit closer to the microphone? I apologize. Thank you, David.
I think it's. We're trying to figure out which is the microphone. We've got a lot of.
I wasn't sure if it might be them.
I don't trust Teresa.
Yeah, wherever David is very clear. Thank you for talking to us about how you want to improve voting in each of your counties. And you've been working really hard on that, David. And also the ADA training. Did I miss anything? From David? Did I get the main pieces from David? Now we can't hear you at all. Juliana?
They're working on their microphone.
Okay.
It shows that they're talking, but then.
North Carolina, we have lost your microphone if you are talking to us.
It's showing that they're talking, but yeah, I can't hear. Can somebody from North Carolina call in? Phone number. I believe the phone number, it was on the invitation. Once you registered, there should be a phone number. While we're waiting for that, in North Carolina, I just sent you guys an audio pin. So Noah Walker just sent a message saying, Daniel Paul from the Self Advocates of Michigan, the mission is to advocate for the rights of people with disabilities throughout the state of Michigan. SAM is the self-advocacy organization, is looking to make difference for the lives of intellectual and developmental disabilities. Our group goals as of recently is to do a report on voting rights, and we also have been doing work on a 5-year plan for meeting the needs of people with disabilities throughout the state. I have personally done trainings in the past with different self-advocates in 2018 throughout the state, but plan to do more.
Thank you, Noah. I believe that we have North Carolina is going to be able to join us by phone.
Yeah. So there you go. So there's an audio pen that you need to put in so that we can unmute you.
Can you, oh, there it is.
There we go.
Oh, hi, can you hear us?
Yes, yes.
All right, North Carolina is back. Oh man. We've been working this whole time to talk to you. All right, so here's Laura.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Talk into that speaker, maybe. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Laura Newell. Okay. I'm with the self-advocate group, and I also work for a nonprofit that provides housing and support for people with developmental disabilities. And we did get some people registered to vote back in 2016 for the last presidential election. We also went to Washington, D.C. and met with Congresswoman Alma Adams and took our group there. And we gave her a petition about the SSI marriage policy, which is something that, we're working on getting that changed. And we talked to her about affordable housing and about having good services for people with disabilities. We have been to Raleigh in the past and talked to them about not cutting the budget for services. We have done a door force gauge project where we tested restaurant bathrooms to make sure that they weren't too heavy, so for somebody with weak hand strength to be able to get into the bathroom. We have also done a menu accessibility project where we checked with different restaurants to see if they had menus that were accessible for people who are blind or low vision, braille menus, online menus, picture menus for those who are deaf, and we tested 50 restaurants, and half of them were accessible and half of them were not. Some of us have been to an ADA training, and we've talked to a couple of groups about the ADA, and I came up with a picture rights book, which I've used a few times to teach people rights in a language that they can understand. So we got a lot going on.
Hello, yeah, this is Anna Cunningham, and as part of the Power of the Dream organization, it's a nonprofit that's about employment. We talk a lot and have advocated a lot for understanding your rights and
Anna, we just lost the connection for you. Can you text that to them, Juliana?
okay, are we back now?
Yeah.
You're back.
Okay, and so a lot of work was done on that front, and since we have great council representation here as well, even though the executive director is new, we did a lot of work in the council on voting with disability rights and CIDD and various other groups, and a lot of advocacy across community living sectors, asset development, and advocacy. So I'll pass it along over to Tally to share more about where we're going now. And
Sure, I'll speak, and then I'll hand it over to Brian, since we're talking about the council. So one of the other things, we've got a representative and a senator on our council, and one of the things our representative has really push for us to do, and we're looking for more opportunities, but DRNC has taken a great lead on this, is ensuring that our candidates are thinking through disability issues, and DRNC has asked them a series of questions and gotten candidate responses as to what their views are with respect to various issues. We're also spending a lot of time encouraging all of the folks that we work with and that are self-advocates to make sure that they know and are in conversation with the candidates on both sides of the aisle in their local jurisdictions. And we're trying to figure out ways, I'm pretty new, but that we can set up more opportunities for folks to meet their representatives. The other big thing that's going on in North Carolina is that we are undergoing a huge Medicaid transformation, and it's really important that we are also in dialogue with our agency leaders. So we're trying to set up those opportunities as well. So we're excited about all of that. But Brian Dooley is actually the leader or the board chair of DRNC. So I'm going to hand it over to him. That's our protection advocacy organization, Disability Rights North Carolina. Talk a little bit about what Brian's doing and all of the ways Brian has traveled the entire state of North Carolina in the last day to work on it.
I have a speech disability, so my assistant's going to be transferred for him. To answer your question, the self-advocacy organization hasn't really done much because we're brand new and we're just now getting started. But like Tally said, our protection and advocacy organization is doing a whole lot of work. And I happen to be the chair for disability rights right now. We have a new nonpartisan voter guide with information about most of the candidates so people can help decide who to vote for. That's the biggest thing we're working on right now, and we're very proud of that because it's the first time that we've tried this, and it seems to be working. I don't want to take any more of your time. Namaste.
Well, I think that a lot of the folks that are on the phone would be interested in seeing how you have made some of the information accessible. So we will make opportunity if you'd like. Any of you, the states would like to share any of the project information that they have made accessible for individuals. I think all of us would be interested in knowing what you've done to help bring voting and potentially other issues to the forefront for people to understand. So I think that people would be interested in knowing how you've described things and how you've explained things. So it might be interesting to share some of those things. So if you're interested in any of the projects that people have brought up, we'd be welcome the opportunity to be the connection for you to share information. What we know is that all of your groups seem to be very actively working on voting and have done different parts of it. And we look forward to being one more item that's in your toolbox, as they say, for teaching people more about voting and to use any of our activities to explain information. We welcome that opportunity and look forward to being part of that. Was there any more comments or any immediate questions that folks had? I'm just going to do a round robin kind of effect. So I'll ask Illinois, did you have any immediate questions for anything that's been discussed with the other states right now?
Not on my end. This is Tara. Not on my end.
Okay. And I know you've got some folks that are not able to.
On the website, but it's also set up to send out by email, and it's done in Spanish.
Okay.
Did Barry have anything?
Well done, yeah.
Nothing for me. This is Barry.
Okay. And then let's check in with Michigan.
Hi, this is no, I'm finally back on.
Yay.
So I don't really have any questions right now. So I bet like the other two, James Ivey and who's a self-advocate, and Daniel Paul, who's the chair. I'm kind of curious if they have any questions, if they can be able to call or at least chat if they can't get connected. It took me a while to get connected, but finally I'm here. So
It's great to have you. And do you have any other comments?
I've been asked to add more information about the booklet. It's available in Braille and in Spanish, and in large print. And it's also in podcast form. I'm sorry, podcast form. So it's very accessible. And I'm more than happy to share the document with anybody who is interested.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a housekeeping question. Do you want us to stay, since it took so much work to establish sound? I'm sorry, since it took so much to establish sound, do you want us to stay unmuted and we'll just have to be mindful of that, or do you want us to try to mute whenever that you begin the presentation section again? Or will you handle that only from your end?
Juliana, can you do more the muting?
Yeah, I can mute you guys, so that's easier. And then if you guys want to say something, just raise your hand, and then I can unmute you.
Okay, we'll do it we'll do it that way. I'm just trying to prevent us from losing connection again since it took so much, and so just wanting to be mindful of that. All right, and then Tally, you had something you were going to share.
Yeah, well, it's more a question. I'm interested in just if Illinois or Michigan or folks in Arizona and Ohio have any suggestions for just meeting the candidates and getting the candidates engaged on discussing issues related to folks with disabilities.
Hi, this is Tara from Illinois. So in our state, in Illinois, some of our centers for independent living have really excelled at this. One in particular is Access Living. They've done a lot of, events and things for candidates to come, a lot of forums. So they've had a lot of success, and we've seen definitely connecting with SILs has been pretty successful for us.
Yeah, this is Barry in Illinois as well, and I agree. I think Access Living has done a great job, and what's been great is they've reached out to all the other advocacy organizations, and so before these forums, they ask us to submit questions that folks from the disability community and the advocacy community would be interested in having the candidates answer, and so they're able to be really collaborative in getting folks input. And in the 2018 election, I believe, they had all the candidates for state attorney general. They had candidates for governor as well. And so it was really impressive. And this time around, they're bringing in candidates for state's attorney, I think, and the county clerk, which is an interesting one because the county clerk has some role in voting and accessibility. So it's been great to see them do that. And one of the other things they do, just from a logistical standpoint is that they've webcast that as well, so that if folks can't be there in person, they can participate via webcast.
Sure.
Hi, and I just want to say that it's great, you know, to do it during election season, but it also is a good idea to think small and just have a public invite for the government official at a restaurant, maybe just one your local favorite restaurant, and just to talk to people and talk to government officials and have them meet people in your advocacy groups.
Yeah, this is Noah Walker from Michigan Protection and Advocacy Services. What I have done is for kind of like our agency with the P&A, we have gone to Peckham, and they had an entire candidate forum. And then I also went to Michigan Children's Candidate Forum, so outside of like P&A and self-advocacy. And with self-advocacy and ourselves, we collaborated, like particularly around Detroit and all the sills. We actually had the first disability candidate forum in Detroit. And at the same time, we also have done a lot of self-advocacy days with legislatures within the state legislature and the governor. So that's something that we have done successfully, and we still plan on doing that, including this year on March 3rd, 2020.
And this is Anna, and what I did at one point is I went to the high school, and we talked about voting there as well. A lot of times you'll hear about it when people are starting to get their driver's license and things like that, and not everybody gets a driver's license. And so I thought it was really important to share about voting in that forum as well. And I'm thinking about how that might be something that should be expanded further to go to the community colleges and to secondary, post-secondary schools, and just really, that's where, a lot of people learn about voting and are having those conversations. So just a thought.
Thank you, everyone.
This is Juliana from Arizona. So we have a two-part thing. The first part, we always have a disability day at the Capitol during the springtime, and that's when we make sure that members in the different districts go visit their legislators. So that's always ongoing. What we did in 2018 is we sent out a survey to all the legislators, some that were new, some of them that were running, and some of them that had been there for a while. And we asked them a short survey and asked where they stood on specific disability issues. And from there, we shared the report to all the legislators and got feedback from them. Some of them said that they wanted to tell us more. Some of them wanted to learn more about disability issues. So it was pretty positive finding out that, yes, they are interested in learning about what people with disabilities have to say.
Thanks everyone for sharing. Let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. So just wanted to go over a little bit more about what our webinars are about. Thanks everybody for that great introduction to your group, and you're always welcome to share more information if you think of it. Because I think as you listen to everyone, there are some really great ideas that are being shared with each other, and we want that to continue. And we want you to feel welcome to ask for continued information if you're looking for something specific. Just a little bit more about what we're going to do in the webinars. Today you have met your fellow state teams, and we're going to talk more about the project goals and activities. We're going to discuss the roles and responsibilities of all groups, and we're going to introduce how and what the toolkit is about. So go on to the next slide. In webinar 2, which is on March the 3rd, we are going to teach the GoVoter Toolkit. You'll get an introduction today, and then you'll next time we're going to really teach how and what we do with the toolkit. And we know that some things it's hard to figure out by doing verbal description, but we hope that we'll be able to answer your questions and give you enough information that will explain the details of what's in the toolkit and how to use it. And then we're going to talk about how this training can be designed for your participants. And what we're talking about there is when you go in to do your training, one of the very first questions that you're going to ask them is who has voted before and who has not, and find out who's in your audience. And based on that, we believe that if you know the different parts of the training, even if you think that you have it all figured out, sometimes the audience surprises you and you find out that you have more youth than you were planning, which is always great, or that you have people who have not voted before, or people who have voted before, but it's been a while. And so that's always good information to have, and to be able to know the toolkit well enough and be comfortable enough with it to change on the spot some of the information that you're going to share. There's some pretty standard stuff that you always share just to remind and refresh people's memory about it. There's some laws that change pretty much every election that you'll just make sure that people know about. So you're always prepared with a very basic information, but there's also what activities would work best and for this audience that you're presenting to. Hopefully you'll feel comfortable enough to bring the information just in case you need to put together a presentation that has a couple of different activities based on who's in your audience. And so that's how we personalize the training for your state. You'll be able to, some of you have done some training in the past on voting, so you'll be able to add some of the things that you know have been successful in your trainings into and weave it into this training. And so that's what's so great about the GoVoter toolkit, is it is very flexible for you to use for your state and for what your state priorities are, and to be able to talk to your audience about it. Next slide, please. And then on March the 10th, we'll continue to talk about the using and teaching of the GoVoter toolkit, and we'll wrap up any of the topics that we did not finish in the prior training, and we'll review the group assignments that we will give you to help you learn about your state and what the rules are, and how to organize and teach the training based on the group that you're starting to think that you're going to train with. By that time, you will have began to think about where you want to do your training and how you want to do it. And you'll have the opportunity to ask some very technical assistance-based questions, and we'll talk about more technical assistance that we have provided and the ways that different states have done the training. And then there's always the importance of the evaluations that we do as part of the training. You get the opportunity at that point to ask your audience about how you guys did, but you'll share that with us through their evaluation. But then you will start thinking about how would you, what else would you like to add to the training for us to use in the future, what would have been helpful, and those kinds of things. We're always open to constructive criticism about how the tool can be upgraded and updated to make it stronger. Next slide, please. And so we're going to start to look at the GoVoter toolkit and the area that we provide you other tools for you to use. A sample table of contents, using the GoVoter toolkit, some of the handouts that we have, the evaluation, and the accessible language that we have. We have it available in Spanish also. So Juliana, would you take us to the website, please?
Yeah. Do you want to take a break now, or do you want to go through this and then take a break?
How is everybody feeling? Do you want to continue? Let's check in and be honest. Look around the room and see if everybody's relaxed and wants to continue, or they're fidgeting a little bit.
I need a break.
Anybody need a break?
How about Illinois? Do you guys need a break?
I'm okay.
Michigan?
I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm fine. Just one update though, I'm not going to be here for March 3rd because of the day at the Capitol, and the week afterwards I'm going to be on vacation. So just FYI.
Okay. We can also, we'll have that. Hopefully some of your other members can be available for the training to go through it and share it with you, and then we'll also have it recorded.
Teresa.
Yes, David. Yes, David.
I think it's worth mentioning that next Tuesday is our primary day.
The next Tuesday is
This is timely information.
Primary Day.
Primary Day is next Tuesday here for North Carolina, so this is timely information.
Okay. Yes. So, does that mean that you will or won't have your group available?
It's only
Yeah, North Carolina's going to be here. North Carolina's going to be here. Brian, will you not be able to attend?
But we probably do it by phone.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll
That
attend it
sounds
somehow.
good. Okay. Sounds good.
Right.
North Carolina will be here.
North Carolina, Tar Heel Country, we'll be here.
Okay, great. And then others that cannot be present, hopefully you can ask someone to step in for you that can take notes for you and represent your state, so that we can make sure there's somebody here to help you And plus, we'll also always have technical assistance. But for those who said that they were not going to be here, could you please send Juliana and I a note about how you're progressing about having someone else that can step in for you? We'd appreciate that very much. Okay, so that we can help those folks that may have not used the system before, and, but are going to be here. An email would be appreciated. Thank you. Okay, Juliana, they seem like they want to go on a little bit longer.
All right. So, good.
David, I got a note from Ronnie Marshall saying that they had
Can you mute the states, Juliana?
Okay. Take his wife to the doctor. Good.
Right, let me get to. All right, so this is the SABEUSA.org website. We just want to show you where to find the GoVoter project. It's under projects, under GoVoter. And then to your right, you'll have the navigation. And here you see the education toolkit.
Juliana, this is Essie. Could you make the font a little bigger for us?
Yes, hold on one second.
Thank you.
Is that much better?
It takes a moment for it to change. I didn't see much change there, Juliana. Could you try again? That's better.
Is that better?
Yes.
All right, so we have the voter education toolkit, a little introduction, and we have a facilitator, trainer manual that'll be updated shortly. But for now, we have the 2019 one, and we'll be aligning that with the new PowerPoints. So here's a list of 5 of the PowerPoints that are available for you. And you can click on any of those when you're doing your presentation. You can choose which ones you want to use. And in addition, we have a couple of items like handouts and videos. And in the trainer manual, these are some of the topics. There's an introduction to the training. Second topic is how do we get to where we are in voting. The third topic is registering to vote. The fourth topic is rights and responsibilities. The fifth topic is ways to learn about candidates and issues. Sixth topic is how do you vote. Number 7 is ways to get around voting problems. The 8th topic is civic engagement. Get involved with your voting community. The 9th topic is best practices for partnering. And then the last topic, number 10, is evaluating the training and getting feedback. So we have the training manual in PDF, and we also have a text-only version. And here's where you can click on it and download the training manual. And then this section has the PowerPoint slides. And we will have this available for you. The handouts that we have coincide with the topics. So we have everything from planning an agenda for your training, doing that getting to know each other activity, and then we have several candy ballots that you can use.
That's also an activity.
Mm-hmm. And then we have the scenarios. So the what would you do if this situation happened in your state? And then we have the distance training planning form. We'll put the 2021. It shouldn't be much of a difference. And then we have an evaluation form that you can always use. And if you decide to do a train the trainer activity in your state, then we have certificates that you can use. And there's two versions, one for one trainer signature and the other one's for two trainer signatures. In addition, we have some voting videos. These are the current ones we have, and we'll be updating some new ones that we will be posting, I believe, this week.
So one of the things is that to get a certificate, the training group that you do it with must go through all of the topics so that they know how to be trainers with each topic. So just want to clarify that certificates are not generally given if it's only a 1 or 2 hour training. If you go half a day or more, you can cover just about all of the topics a little bit at least, but usually it's a full day that we ask you to do if you want to do a certificate program. And that's to train those groups to go around your state and do trainings to help your team be able to do a statewide plan for voting using our toolkit. So just want to make sure that you're aware of that. And many states also, the P&A has a evaluation that they like to use in replace of ours, and that is okay as long as you turn that in to us and let us know how the group evaluated your training, so you can use your own evaluation if you have it, and just let us know that you're going to do that so we can expect that. We do like to have evaluations done at the training that we are training you to do, though. And then after that, you can modify or change or keep our evaluation or your own when you do things around your state. That's to inform you. So, Juliana, would you like to please go ahead and show us the introduction, and I'll go over that with the group. Okay, so here is your GoVoter logo. You can add your logos to these front pages of the different groups that you're working with. But once you've been trained by SABE, you can use our logo and our information and materials to do your trainings. Go ahead. And what we have is called the blurry screen activity, and it's a little easier to do when you have a projector. We blur the screen out and we say to the audience, they will come up to you and say, "This is blurry, I can't see it." And we do it on purpose to get their attention when they're coming in. And we let them know that by the time they leave today, we hope that many of their questions about voting are cleared up, and we then make the screen clearer. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. It's just something that we found was a great attention getter for the group. Next slide. And we also make for you a presentation slide opener. You can use this, or you can use one that you have. It's just there to mark that spot to make sure that you remember to give credit to all of your presenters. And then the purpose of the training, this is a general agenda. You can add or change this. The majority of people want a refresher on registering to vote, how you can vote in your state, the different methods that are available to people, how to choose candidates, and this is getting to ask and answer different discussion questions, and then how to get around voting problems. This is where we want to make sure that they know that they can call the P&A, they can call the Board of Elections. Those numbers should be available to them, but they don't always know where they are or know who it is that they're talking to. So we always encourage a business card type of tool that you can give out with your voting contact information, and also in Braille, so that they know who to call, and that assists them to make sure that they get the information. And then how to get involved in the voting community. We always encourage, if you have time, to talk to them about how they can continue their involvement with you, with key groups that are doing voting, and the different party activities that are available to them that they can be involved in. And you can choose these or others of the activities, but this is a pretty general agenda. Next slide. And so this is a gracious picture from our group in Ohio. They did the training last year, and so we appreciate them sharing that they were all ready to take voting on the road, so to speak. So topic 1 is an introduction. Next slide, please. And we did make an activity for the group, just in case you do decide to do a training class or have an introduction activity for your presentation. And this is a kind of an interview activity where you interview a partner. And this works really well with larger groups that you're expecting, and gives them a format and a structure. And it's their name and where are they from. Some people can be from different cities and different towns if you do, especially a larger training. And then if you were not in this class today, what would you be doing? That's a way to help them relax and to know that you appreciate them being at your training. But what would they be doing if they weren't here? And then my biggest voting question is, and we encourage that you have every person in the room answer this question, because this is an opportunity for support staff, for family members, for others who might be in the room to ask their biggest voting question. And we've found that the information is really valuable, and the discussion can help you know when and where to answer some of their biggest voting question. Next slide, please. And then, okay, so Juliana, would you please display the survey question and for how they can answer?
All right, so we're going to do a poll question with all of you. And this is going to be launched, and if somebody from your team can answer this question. We'll give you a minute or so to answer.
And then you would survey the individuals in your group and have them answer. Oops, Juliana, that is not, go back.
I don't think I put that question on.
Uh-oh. Glitch. So how did, okay. So it is going to be, who is your favorite president? I apologize. We will get the other one another time. Who is your favorite president? You can survey the room, and then if you can come to an agreement on a few of those, you can select one with the highest number of votes.
If you have access to a computer, you can answer the question. We have half the audience. So we go ahead and close it.
Did every state vote?
That's gonna hold. So I'm gonna close it now.
Okay.
Okay.
Oops. Barack Obama, 100%.
Teresa, this is Barry. Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So one of the things that we always are just very careful about when we do any kind of voting is making clear that it's a nonpartisan situation. We're really just talking about access. Is there any concern that if you have questions that talk about candidates or political parties, that you know might be a you know in conflict with that approach?
Oh, it's just for fun. This, I believe that they were supposed to be able to pick as many as they wanted, and many people are in different places, so they would have been able to vote multiple. But you're correct. We will take that into consideration. But the majority.
Thanks. I know that's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not talking about for our internal thing, but
yeah.
I'm just generally when we present as a P&A, we have to be really careful that we're not looking to be, you know, partisan or getting people engaged in that aspect of things. So we're probably hypersensitive to that, but I just wanted to throw out that issue.
Absolutely. Okay, go on, Juliana.
You want to do another poll question, or do you want to move on to the next?
I don't know if they're working correctly, so let's go on. Oops, did it come up this time? Okay, we'll have to use that one for fun. So what we're going to do is, so we already did this. It put us back to the beginning, or is this number 2?
That's number 1. You want to do number 2?
I would like to see the toolkit, if we might.
Yeah. The manual?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so this is the toolkit that you have access to. And this talks a little bit about the history of the team that helped to make it. This is a sample of what's in the toolkit. And then the training tools. Just want to go over. This is a letter from the GoVoter team and talks a little bit about the history that I went over earlier. Okay, so each of the tools is set up in the same way using the same template. And yes, some of the graphics are out of date, but they still work effectively. And I think that in general, pretty effective for helping people understand what is next. So each of the training tools helps you with an introduction. This one is all about team together, everyone achieves more, and everyone has a job, and everyone takes a turn with each job. Juliana, can you make this larger, please? And everyone on your team helps. So depending on how many people you have go to each training, you have a job to do, and everyone who is on the team gets an opportunity to help out and present. And this is a great way, this training is also a great way for beginning presenters to also learn how to start presenting. And if you have someone you know is very passionate about voting, we can always use their examples or their stories. So each of the tools and explain the topics. The jobs of team member, you have a speaker that guides each topic and discussion. You have a technology specialist, someone who's in charge of technology issues and shows the group the PowerPoint and slides and helps with the activities. You have a handout person if you want to give out handouts, and that helps people who are new to presenting just be more comfortable around audiences. Go ahead. There's a note taker or a person that writes or draws on the big paper, and this always helps with discussion. We still find that it's a very effective way of getting information because everyone likes to see their ideas are taken seriously and that they are recording and meaningful to the group. We encourage you to have someone who takes photos, and even though it's an old-fashioned camera, it reminds you to do it. And they're very helpful for doing your newsletter and website. And then the handouts, we just have this picture to help you remember that, oh yes, we wanted to hand out this particular handout now, and then masking tape if you are going to do the big paper. Doesn't damage walls, and then fragrance-free markers, and then candy for games or different activities, or just helpful to keep the energy up for different groups, and then registration forms and or cards. And then if your state requires that you have a signature stamp form, then you would want to tell your audience about that. So some states do that. They require that if you're going to use a stamp for your signature, that you fill out a form. And then we encourage you at all times to work with your local local election boards to get the voting machines to the training, especially the longer time that you allow. No matter what, you want to give at least an hour for the voting machines to be used, because it takes people a bit of time to ask their questions, see how things work, and to not feel rushed. And we encourage you to do that whenever possible. And then a sign-in sheet. Excuse me about the voting machines. One more thing. A lot of states are changing their voting machines. And so you and your team may want to be the first ones to go through, just so you can help the others, in case your county doesn't have a person for each voting machine that they brought. You want to have a sign-in sheet and name tags to help you. Go to the next page, please. People like pens and pencils, whatever you have to give them, they love that. And then this is to remind you that if you have videos that you want to play, it's good to have a backup drive, a flash drive of them, just in case the videos inside your slides do not activate. Sometimes they're a little tricky about whether there's a service or not. And then you can get those at the GoVoter website. And it seems to help them also to work properly. Sometimes the speed's a little off when you show them on the website. So just to be aware that you have practiced that and tested it, and that you have them backed up on a flash drive. And then the GoVoter activity for the working around problems. Many groups have their own issues and problems that they want to add to this particular area, and you can make them into cards so that you can read the scenario that you want people to work on and how they would solve that problem. And then it is also in your slideshow, and it pauses so that you can have them answer the question, how they would solve the problem, and then show this is what the GoVoters activity says. Let's see how close we are, or if we have new ones to suggest. And so it's really a good activity to go through. And we've seen people work with these in small groups and in a large group activity. And it's up to you based on the size of your group, how you want to handle that. But it is a really great way for your election officials to hear what's really happening in the state, what's happening in the county, and to have them know that even though they think they've solved all the issues, maybe there's still some things that are happening to people. And it's a great way for them to hear that, because people tell their own stories, and they'll say, and that happened to me too. And, I didn't know I needed to bring my own headset, or I didn't know that, the person couldn't read to me all the issues and explain them to me at the poll. So, things to help them prepare, and different activities that you can use. And then if you do the all-day training, you can have the certificate available, and we have those for you, and you just print those out if you do a full day train the trainer. And then just a reminder to bring the projector and laptop, and sometimes those are different people who bring those items, to bring your PowerPoint slides and the projector, so that you make sure that you can adjust it to the room, because sometimes that's the tricky part, is getting a good angle on that projection. Make sure that you can get that to show properly. And then this is the one that happens the most, is we forget to bring the stuff that's going to advertise our groups the most, our protection and advocacy and our self-advocacy group and the election office, to have them bring brochures about what they do and to be able to give those out to the audience and have them learn all the great work that we do is sometimes the hardest thing to remember. Oh, I should have done that. And then this way you have a reminder. It's a checklist for you. Juliana or Bill, would you like to take the next page?
So the GoVoter Toolkit is divided in 10 parts that I listed earlier. And these are the little icons that'll let you know what you would need to do. So the little clock tells you how much time you're going to spend. And as we mentioned earlier, you can have a 1 hour training, 2 hour training, a whole day training. You decide. We have on the toolkit sections, if it's in blue, that's when you do your speaking, so someone can practice what they're going to say. We're going to do a group discussion. This icon tells you, hey, it's time to do a group work. And then the person with the big paper lets you know this is a good time to have everybody share their ideas. So those are some of the icons that you would see in this toolkit. This next section is something that you can use to prepare for your trainings. It makes sure that you have the date and location and which topics you're going to be presenting on. It also provides who's going to do what, who are going to be the speakers from the P&A or the self-advocacy groups and any other groups that'll be working together. It will assign people different tasks so that things are done. This section talks about what kind of items and materials you'll be bringing to the presentation. So everything from handouts, the registration forms, name badges, sign-in sheets, the big papers, voting machine, and any other equipment that you're going to need to do the presentation. On this page, it lists the different questions that you can ask for the different topics. And you can always use other questions, but these are related to the topic questions. And then we will talk about this at the next webinar.
If we have time, why don't we go ahead and take a quick break, and then we'll do topic 1.
We'll do that because we still have a couple of other stuff that we have going on. Okay.
Okay.
So let's take a 10-minute break. It's just after 1 o'clock. Can we start back up at 1:10?
How does that sound for Illinois?
Oh, that's fine.
How about Michigan?
Yep, that's fine.
And North Carolina?
Hi, North Carolina.
Okay, 10 minutes.
She unmuted him.
Hi. Yeah, type it in the computer.
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Can you hear me now? Keep going.
We were under the understanding that this was going to be done at 3:30. So we figured that we would just keep going, if that's okay with everybody else. We have a long way to travel back home.
Okay.
I got a long way to go to my house.
Okay.
Hi, this is Tara from Illinois. I'm fine with keep going through. I have another call after this, so if we can get done a little early, that'd be preferable.
Okay, that'd be great.
Teresa, do you want to do topic 1 next week? And
yeah, that's fine.
So. All right, so what did we learn today? So we met each other's state teams. Diana, do you want to read some of these?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
What did we learn today? A quick review. We met each other's state teams. We learned how each state team works together. We also learned how to find the GoVoter toolkit and how to use it. And a friendly reminder, a partnership is working together as a team.
Next slide, please.
Do you want to do this one, Diana?
Yeah. Homework before we meet. Go to the SABEUSA.org website on your own. Find the SABE GoVoter Project tab and Toolkit tab. Look for the 2020 updated toolkit before the next webinar. Since this is a perfect chance to get together or get everyone on the phone to talk about organizing your presentation and how to use the toolkit.
Next slide.
Homework for next time we meet. Try to know your state voting rules. Here are the questions you have to answer. How many days before you vote do you have to be registered? How do you vote in your state? What do you have to show approval on to vote? Here are some examples. ID, you must take to the voting place, a state or military one, Bureau of Indian Affairs utility bill.
Next slide, please.
Homework for the next time we meet. Try to know your state's voting rules. What does your state say about guardianship and voting? Does your state have supported decision making? What does your state say if you are a convicted felon?
Next slide.
Do we have any questions or comments?
And there was no extra questions for the parking lot, Diana. So we'll just check in with each state and see if there's any questions. So you will get this PowerPoint immediately following this presentation. Juliana's going to send this PowerPoint to you. And then you'll also, in a little while, if there's anybody that was not on the call that you want to have listen to the training. Yeah, we'll be sending the PowerPoint immediately following this webinar, and we'll also in a little bit, I think it takes a little bit longer to download and put it on the website, but you'll also have this training on the website, the GoVoter training, and you'll be able to send that link to others who were not able to attend today, if you would like to, and have them catch up on what we did today. Is there any additional questions? Let's check in with Illinois.
No questions from me.
This is Barry, not for me.
Okay.
Okay, how about from Michigan?
No questions here.
Okay, and North Carolina, is there any questions?
No question, no comment either.
Okay, thank you, David. So if you do have any questions or comments, I believe that you have my contact information, Teresa or Juliana, that you can give us a call if there's anything that you're having difficulty with. Please let us know, and we'll try to help you as best we can before the next call. And we want to make sure that the self-advocates and the P&A are looking for these answers, if not together, then to try to make a call that you can talk about it together so that you can be prepared to talk about them on the next call, because we will listen to you like we did today, giving the answers to each of these questions. Next slide, Juliana. We just wanted to thank you again from our team for being on today, and we apologize. Hopefully everything will run a little bit smoother on getting everyone on from our team to you. We hope everyone has a great rest of your day, and we will be doing the training next week, so hopefully as many of your team members can attend as possible. Any comments or questions, Juliana?
Yes, so once we hang up from this webinar, there'll be a survey if you guys can answer the questions. And one of the questions you want to make sure is having the names of the members from your state to make sure that we have their names spelled right. And you can provide contact information like phone numbers or emails, which I believe the organizations that everyone's representing, we'd really appreciate doing that.
Any questions or comments, Essie?
No, we're good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Good job for November.